guys, this is Sandy. Today's card is a really fun one. It's a shaker card and it's for a graduate, but you wouldn't have to have it be for a graduate if you didn't want to. This cute little graduation cap right here, you could just leave that off the front. It would be for lots of occasions, I think. If you've never done a shaker card, they are a lot of fun, especially for the recipient. And if you really like this one, you can buy it as a kit from sandyscards.com and just make this one. I'm going to start by putting together the graduation cap. I have 3 full hats that I'm going to stack one on top of the next, and then I'm going to add that diamond shape hat topper right on top of the third one, lining them all up. Now I have a stacked hat, and it just adds a little dimension without using any sort of foam adhesive. A little thick, nice and strong, and it makes for a nice embellishment to the front of the card. So I added all those together. Now I'm going to add the tassel. For the tassel, I'm just going to put a little dot right in the center of the hat and then add the tassel to the glue. I found that that's the easiest way for me to do it. Now I have the hat all put together, lined up, just like that. The next thing I'm going to work on is the balloon. It's an element on the front of the card that's underneath the shaker window. I used a really light cardstock for this. I think it's a 65-pound weight. I want it to make sure that it sits flat against that background piece. So I used this light blue paper. I'm going to ink it up with some tumbled glass, peacock feathers, and chipped sapphire. Just use my ink blending brushes and come in from the outside, working my way towards the inside, making sure that I start off the balloon and then come onto the balloon so that I don't have any harsh like brush lines straight from the ink to the paper, you know. So here I'm adding the chipped sapphire, the darkest color. I'm just going to be real careful not to add too much at once. Just do a little at a time. I can always add more. I'm working on a plastic surface. This is actually a 12-inch piece of paper I have. It's just white on the back of a pattern. And I have it slipped into a record sleeve. You can buy these 12 by 12 sleeves that you put records in for storage. And I can just do my ink blending right on that and then wash it off when I'm done. Our next thing that we're going to move on to is prepping the background of the shaker card. So I'm just taking a white gel pen and drawing a balloon string on my black cardstock. This cardstock is 5 1/4 by 4 inches, which is the same size as our frame. This frame I just cut out on my Cricut. It says congrats across the top, and I'm going to use it as the front of my shaker card. So I'm going to glue a piece of acetate to the back of the frame. This is the first thing I need to do to get the shaker part of the card all put together. So I'm using a liquid glue here, and then I also am going to use glue along the back of the words too. Making sure not to use too much glue, because if it squishes out, you'll be able to see it on the acetate. So here I'm just finishing up, making sure I get just a little bit of glue all along that edge of the frame and on the words, and I'm just going to tap a piece of paper onto those little blobs of glue so that it just pulls a little bit of that off. Now I can just add my acetate right onto the glue and make sure it's all lined up and it's ready to go. I need to put that aside to let it dry for a minute, but that will be the front of our shaker window. So the next thing I'm going to do is finish this panel. I'm going to put some adhesive on the back of the balloon. I want to make sure that it sticks down really flat, otherwise the little shaker bits kind of get stuck or trapped underneath the edges, that kind of thing. So I made sure to get adhesive all along the whole edge and get it stuck down nice and flat. Okay, so that's going to be the background of the shaker window, and this is the front. I'm going to add some foam tape to the sides. That'll hold everything in. And that's going to make our shaker card front. We need to make sure when we're putting the foam on the edges that the corners meet up exactly, because you can't have any gaps in the foam because that's where the shaker pieces will kind of slip through. So we don't want any shaker bits falling out when we're shaking our card. That is our front. We're going to add some adhesive to it now. We're going to do the adhesive first before we put our shaker bits in it. We want to touch it as little as possible once we put our shaker pieces in there, because those things will fly everywhere. Makes a mess. I'm just going to use some really thin, this is 1/8 inch wide score tape here. It's really a strong double-sided tape that'll make sure that my background sticks to my front panel really well. But you could use a liquid glue here, that'll work just fine too. You just want to make sure that there's no gaps in your adhesive, and you'll be good to go. So now I'm ready to put in my little shaker pieces. This is just some like chunky glitter confetti stuff. It's shiny and pretty, and makes for a fun card. I decided to add a little bit of sequins too. So there's some shiny sequins, and I think we're ready to put the backing on. Now I check and double check to make sure that I'm putting the backing down in the right direction. You don't want to put it on upside down. You'll be very mad at yourself. So I make sure I seal it along all the edges and it's nice and secure, and none of my shaker pieces are falling out, so that's good. So now that's the front of our card. I'm just going to glue that to my card base. This is a black A2 size card base, and it's just about ready. We're going to finish it off by adding our graduation cap just down there in the corner. And I got to decorate the inside. I always decorate the inside of my cards. It just feels like if you do so much to the front, you should make the inside pretty also. My blue paper was a little bit boring, so I added some polka dots with my white gel pen and my white panel. And that's basically all of it. It's done. Thank you guys for joining me today. You can visit me at sandyscards.com for more info.